Welcome to the Cubby Jaxon Show. I am your host, Cubby Jaxon, again with the beautiful Mama Bear.
Hey, everybody.
So we got a pretty good show roundup for you today. I hope you enjoy it. This is our third video cast, and we're trying to do our best. I'm going to lead off with something funny here. A Florida man goes fishing at Bass Pro Shops. Now, I don't know if you guys heard this or not, but this guy, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, the FWC, and if you're from Florida and know the FWC, they will get to the bottom of this, is aware of an incident at the Bass Pro Shop in Fort Myers involving a tarpon. We are currently working with the Lee County Sheriff's Office to investigate further. And apparently this gentleman went into the Bass Pro Shop and decided he was going to take a fish with him. He actually stole the net, got the fish, and then ran out of the store. They are going to look for him and find him. And I was looking up like what possible uses he would have for this. And there's really not a lot you can do. Like tarpon grow up to 8 feet in length and weigh up to 280 pounds. Tarpons have a distinctive dorsal hump. Tarpons are found in warm, shallow waters around the world. Tarpons are prized by anglers for their fighting ability. Now, we do have a lot of tarpon hunts down here. And I tell you, man, these guys are really serious. Tarpons are a great fish great sport fish to go after. I know they're just mighty. Tarpons primarily eat mullet, pinfish, sardines, pilchards, shrimp, and crabs. Tarpons take 8 years before they can reproduce and 16 years to reach their full length. Now, there's nothing in here about food or anything. I don't know what the guy was on. I don't know if his positive vibes were to go to a pro shop and steal a tarpon, but I hope they catch him. I think it's just pretty rough, man, when you're out there stealing tarpon. I mean, obviously the guy wasn't going to eat it. There was an interesting story about the J6 committee failed to preserve records and have no data on the Capitol Hill security failures. The House Select Committee that investigated the Capitol riots on January 6th failed to adequately preserve documents, data, video depositions, including communications they had with the Biden White House, are still missing, according to Republican lawmakers overseeing the GOP investigation into the committee's work. The disbanded January 6th committee was run by Democrats, included only 2 GOP members, which we both know who they are, complete rhinos. I mean, just what a joke. The whole committee was a joke. I was going to finish this story, but the video depositions are huge. I mean, this is all the interviews you need. This is all the intel you need. You get a lot from the information. And right now it's all looking like a setup. I'm going to be the first one to say it to you. It really does look like a setup. I've been watching a lot of these videos, and there are tons and tons of videos. And you could see the crowd was quiet, waving their flags, doing their thing. And then all of a sudden, concussion grenades and smoke bombs hit the crowd. And that pissed a lot of people off. And it pissed them off enough that, there were a handful of FBI agents in the crowd. It was documented. Now, whether they started all this shit, I don't know. But you can pretty much tell from the videos that it appears to be a setup, And then you got these other things going on with the indictments. They indicted the man 4 times, and his and his poll numbers keep going up. I mean, you think they would learn their lesson by now. The video depositions, that was all destroyed. I guess Benny Thompson said it wasn't something he thought he would need it to keep. And I can tell you right now, with everything they're doing, it's a complete setup. And I hope that Trump and his lawyers really, really understand, what's going on as far as Americans, because this is bigger than January 6th. I mean, they did this whole thing saying Trump was inciting this government overthrow, apparently. And, nobody had guns, and there wasn't a lot of violence inside of the Capitol. I mean, you see them walking around with their cell phones, taking pictures while AOC's screaming that her cat's dead and she's going to die. And she feared for her life and this, that, and the other thing. I don't know if you guys caught any clips of AOC, but what a fucking dingbat. And she was a bartender. I know some extremely smart bartenders, that graduated from college and read a lot of books. I mean, this chick was just stuck on the comics. I mean, it was pretty apparent what she's doing. You had a pretty good story you wanted to talk about as well.
Well, I want to say Happy New Year to everybody. It is New Year's Eve.
It is Eve.
So we are preparing and getting ready for a brand new year, fresh start, all the fun things. So I was, we have our own traditions, and I have some that I grew up with that, maybe other people didn't do.
We do.
But some of the main ones in America is fireworks, of course. So those fireworks, we saw all the tents up, and lots of people going to be shooting off fireworks. So be safe when you're shooting off those fireworks.
Yes, definitely. And the dogs too. The dogs get pretty freaked out.
I have some tips for that as well coming up. And of course, the Auld Lang Syne, you know what that means? That means
I'm sure you're going to tell us, my beautiful mama bear.
for old time's sake. So the song was the brainchild of an 18th century Scottish poet, Robert Burns, and the song is about friendship and kindness and days gone by, but gives a sense of belonging and fellowship into the future, according to Scotland.org.
This is a great story, and I love that we're live. We've been having some technical difficulties trying to figure out how to load up the photos and videos, and we're getting there. I mean, we are really working hard and trying to get the information out. And I research a lot of stuff. I mean, from movies to TV to channels. I run through all the ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN. I hate to say it, but these news channels are an absolute disgrace, and the people that doing it too. And I really hope that people get the information they need. Sorry.
Okay. Another one is, of course, the kiss at midnight. So, according to a Montreal Gazette, it is custom that may have started in ancient European times to ward off evil spirits. Commonly, a kiss at midnight is to ensure the coming year will not be filled with loneliness. So, the custom of eating black-eyed peas, I'm going to get into some of the different food traditions that different people across America do, but eating black-eyed peas is one that I didn't grow up doing, but when I moved down to Florida from Michigan, Cubby, that was like one of the things that it seemed like everybody was doing. And
that's a great band, by the way.
I
too.
still don't do that.
The Black Eyed Peas kick ass, man.
So the eating cabbage, celebrating in Times Square, New York, which I wouldn't want to do right now with everything going on. But that's one thing that I always thought I'd like to have on my bucket list, is to do 1 year in Times Square.
Ooh, we have a comment. We do have a live chat going on now. It says some platforms may not allow this, but feel free to comment. If we got a minute and we can go ahead and answer you, I absolutely will, especially while Mama Bear is chatting, because she's got some good stuff going on.
So the celebrating in Times Square with the dropping of the giant ball at the stroke of midnight has been taking place since 1907.
A stroke a minute sounds like an adult show.
Over the years, the ball has transitioned from a 700-pound iron and wood orb to a brightly patterned sphere that is 12 feet in diameter and weighing in at nearly 12,000 pounds.
Wow.
So, and the another big one is making those New Year's resolutions or goals, which I have another little tidbit story about that I'm going to be doing later on. But in hopes of having a better year than the previous year, it's a practice that was believed to have started with the Babylonians, who made promises in order to earn favor from the gods and start the new year on the right foot.
She's so cute. Okay. And
you want me to continue?
Sure, man. Let's get it out of the way so I can dump some politics, and we'll get into some good stories here later, too. It won't all be politics, I promise.
Along with traditions come some superstitions. So some of the superstitious beliefs are that it's considered bad luck to do any hard work on New Year's Day. Therefore, we shall be
100% agreed.
Taking some naps, eating some food, watching some Netflix, and
what was really nice was finishing off that prime rib from Christmas. That was really nice. Best French dip ever.
Yes. So prime rib. That's we haven't decided what we're going to eat for New Year's Day yet. We need to get on that. It's like in 2 days.
Yeah, I think we're just going to do a rack of ribs on the grill or something. That sounds like a great idea.
That does sound good. So more superstitions. Crying and wailing on New Year's Day is considered unlucky. So men, keep your women happy. If you want a lucky year, no crying and wailing by the women.
Yeah, that was totally politically correct. What they mean is no whining, bitches. All right, no whining. Let me throw a shout out real quick to our sponsor. His name is David Ward, Gator Glide Slick Bottom Coatings for anything marine. Now, I've seen the work that he does, and it works on everything, man. He does john boats, jet skis, bay boats. I mean, I've seen some airboats cruising through the grass, and like literally you can get behind it and push it. I just push it right on the grass. That's good stuff. Don't get stuck without it. This stuff is slicker than possum piss. And his number is 863-633-8300. Again, his number is 863-633-8300. Gator Glide Slick Bottom Boats.
Going on with more superstitions?
Yeah, let's rock and roll, man. I'm with it.
All right. Washing your hair. I never heard of this one, but washing your hair on New Year's Day is thought to wash away the good fortune of the person who's washing their hair.
Now, is that just like strictly head hair, or does that? We'll just go with head hair. Yeah, we'll just go with head hair.
So at midnight, doors of the house should be open to let the old year out. And that one I do recall hearing about. So open the doors, let all those evil spirits out of your house.
Yes.
So this one is the pantry should be stocked with food and wallets with money to ensure continued prosperity.
I think we have the pantry covered.
We have that part covered, yes, for sure. So this one's pretty fun. I want to do that. I want to do this one this year. Toss a bucket of water out a window or a cup of water over your shoulder to get rid of last year's tears. So I'll just have to make sure that Cubby isn't standing behind me when I throw that glass of water over my shoulder.
I'll be looking for her and her bucket. This is not a cold water challenge.
Well before midnight, clean the house thoroughly. Make sure to clean under beds, put out garbage away from the house to remove bad experiences from the past year. And of course, babies born on New Year's Day are considered to be lucky throughout their whole lives.
Oh, that's an adorable story.
So,
okay, well, let's move along here a little bit. So GOP lawyers are crafting legislation to remove Joe Biden from the 24 ballot. I guess that's just payback for what you do to our boy. All right, Republican lawmakers in at least 3 states are working on legislation to remove Joe Biden from the 24 ballot. Colorado Supreme Court removed Donald Trump earlier, and it's claiming the insurrection on January 6th. But again, they had a whole January 6th committee full of fucktards going after him. And, you have all these states popping up with charges like fraud. The banks go in and tell them what a great job they did. There was no fraud whatsoever. And the judge is completely corrupt. I mean, if you go look at the videos, I mean, this guy privately saying that, he doesn't actually choose the verdict, sometimes legally, sometimes it's a little personal or whatever it was that he said. Just disgusting. And the Colorado thing, Maine also, we'll get into that here in a minute. I mean, these courts, the court in Colorado, I mean, these are judges. There's no due process. There wasn't a verdict. The man hasn't even been charged with incitement. I mean, that's the fucked up part about it is, you're charging him with all these crimes. They're going after him for incitement, and he hasn't even been charged. Breitbart News reported there are efforts underway in Georgia, Arizona, and Pennsylvania to take Biden off the ballot. All 3 are critical swing states. The state representatives are pushing back what they perceive as Democrats' lawfare tactics aimed at attacking former President Donald Trump in the response to the Colorado High Court's 4-3 ruling, which, if anybody reads the Constitution or knows anything about the Constitution, it's going to be thrown out. I mean, without due process, there's no way that sticks. It's literally throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. Pretty hard way to handle that if you're a judge. I mean, I don't understand how these people get chairs in office. It's pretty gross. We are joining forces to introduce legislation to remove Joe Biden from the ballots in the states that we are. The absurdity of radical Democrat judges removing Donald Trump from the ballot in Colorado is a stain on the political system. I think everybody can agree with that. And again, he hasn't been charged. I mean, it's a little bit different if he was charged. Maybe if he even got found not guilty, the charge would still be there. But again, I mean, there's no due process here. I mean, the whole thing stinks to high heaven. The last great effort like this was 10 states that refused to put Abraham Lincoln on the ballot in 1966. And when I went to look at that up, I mean, just keep in mind, 10 states tried to take Abraham Lincoln off the presidential ballot, and he still won. And if anybody recalls history, even just a little bit of history, everybody knows what happens after that. That's the Civil War. So all I can tell you is that it all stinks to high heaven, this world order, all these Democrats that just, they use the Constitution as a punchline. They obviously don't know anything about it. And, it's just disturbing. I mean, disturbing from a standpoint being American. I mean, we have history in the military. My grandfather was in the military. My dad was in the military. We have 2 uncles that were in the military. My wife's brother, my brother-in-law was in the military. His son Daniel's in the military. Good luck, Daniel, with being an officer. I think that's just fantastic. And again, I think at some point it's going to boil to a head. I thought after going after the kids that would have done it. I just read a story about the Ohio governor who just vetoed a bill that was going to prevent minors from having altering surgery. And, I just don't understand these people. Again, I said it a couple of weeks ago on our first show that I just don't grasp how these people don't have children or grandchildren or expect their great grandchildren to handle all this. I mean, $35 trillion in debt. And the money we're sending over to Ukraine is just absurd. I was telling the wife this the other day. I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but when I look at it as a big picture, because what I try to do is I try to put things in perspective. I don't immediately judge a story until, I let it set a couple days to try to figure out what other platforms might be posting it, whether it be the Washington Journal or the Hill or Newsmax. I mean, I try to get around a little bit and understand it. And what I'm coming up with is this. Biden's fucking paid off, man. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He keeps saying how he wasn't involved with Hunter Biden's, correspondence, but yet he's got these pictures of him all over the place, man. At dinner with these guys, he's making phone calls. They said it was about the weather. I mean, who the hell is going to call a Ukraine energy company and ask them how the snow looks over there? Whole thing's absurd, man. Pardon me. And I think it's just the American people aren't going to put up with this shit much longer. Again, I thought after the kids there might have been an uprising, and I hope there's not. Nobody wants to see anybody get injured, but I think it's at the point where someone's going to have to make a stand and do something, and it can't be Donald Trump on his own. I mean, he has supporters. Yes, America's pissed off. Grown men in the bathrooms, kids getting getting their genitals cut off and stuff. I mean, I think at some point somebody needs to stand up and do something.
Yeah, and it needs to be done in a proper way. It needs to be done peacefully. It needs to be done legally.
Yes.
And that's what I'm afraid they're going to bait people into doing.
Yeah, and I say legally is the problem. I mean, you got the Constitution that explicitly says, what states, counties, federal, I mean, what everything, boils down to is votes. And what I don't understand the most is you send all this money out everywhere. Oh, back to my point. This is what I was getting to. So Biden's paid off. I mean, that's a fact. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The paperwork's there. The pictures are there. So my opinion is this. So he opened up the back door for China. China sells fentanyl to the Mexicans, the cartels. They funnel it in through the back door. They're making trillions of dollars. There is no question about that. And then you got China selling weapons to Russia. You got Iran selling weapons to Russia. So Biden's going to keep the war going as long as he can because, again, China's making trillions of dollars there. And then you got these dumb shits that want to put up solar panels and EV cars. And it's funny about let me finish. So the EV cars, the solar panels, and the batteries. Anybody have any idea where all this shit comes from? You guessed it, China. Congratulations. I love my little applause button, by the way. So again, they're making trillions of dollars on top of trillions of dollars on top of trillions of dollars. And nobody apparently wants to do anything. And I was just thinking to myself, when they're making all this kind of money, I mean, who's the traitor here, man? I mean, who's the traitor? I hope that when Trump gets into office, he just eliminates China altogether. I mean, Japan, Taiwan, India, they all have the same products, man. And I don't know why we keep allowing China to make trillions of dollars here in this country when we don't fucking need them. That's what bothers me the most.
Yeah. And the other day you were talking about the trucks, the EV trucks, and that they can't even sell them. But the price tag of these trucks is just absurd.
It's astronomical. Yeah, the article we were talking about that Ford they got like $100,000 rebates on these EV trucks. I was going to get the information from the story, but I didn't. But if I recall, it's like 67,000 electrical vehicles by Ford scattered all over the place. I wish I could remember the state, but apparently like 8,700 workers walked off of this EV place that Ford's doing, and they're taking a big bite in the ass, man. I mean, they're up to like $4 or $6 billion they've lost with these EV vehicles, and nobody's buying them. I mean, absolutely nobody's buying them.
Well, I just don't understand how they think that the normal American can afford a truck like that. I mean,
that's creepy, man. On the EV spots, I don't know. I mean, I will never own an electric car. If I do, it'll be a golf cart. So I'll dress it up as a car, maybe decorate it for Christmas or something. But if you ever notice, these guys go green, right? So they got all these EV stations. They just put them up at Yeehaw Junction. I think we went through there and saw them stacked up. And it's funny when you look at these EV stations, if you look behind that, you'll see a big wall of some shrubs, hedges. Guess what's behind that? That's a diesel generator that's running all this shit. And it's funny because they act like, I mean, the green guys just make me sad. I mean, what it takes for a farmer to crop some of these fields and the amount of things that get killed on the way, the bugs, the small critters, the frogs, the rabbits, like these farmers do the best they can do to grow this. And then they want their fucking avocados. Well, I'm here to tell you, those get shipped in a diesel truck too. So, anyway, the whole go green thing. I mean, I get it. If you want electric cars and you want to do windmills and solar panels. I mean, I get it if it works. The problem is we don't have the foundation for that. And again, it's about power. Once you figure out it's about power, you understand why this is happening. These little groups that they implement, the little committees that they do, are all getting funded by the federal government, and none of the money is going anywhere. There was a story about Zelensky had a $75 million yacht. There was two of them, two boats that were bought. And guess who bought it? You and me, the fucking taxpayers who bought that.
Right. Well, and then I saw a clip today on TV where Joe Biden is arriving at something, and he gets out of his gas guzzling SUV to get on his gas guzzling private plane.
Isn't that
to
fabulous?
Get to wherever he's going? And I agree, we need to protect the environment. I'm all for that.
Yeah, you know, when you do the research on it, like when you actually do the research on it, and I was like 0.0004 or something that is the carbon in the world. And we only emit like, I think it was a ridiculous, like 0.000001 or something of that. So the whole Go Green thing's a scam. And right now it's being done because China's making trillions of dollars, and Joe Biden knows them because he does not want them to release that information. I mean, that's pretty clear about it.
Yeah. Well, if there was an EV car that, I'm all for the EV cars if it's like gas and electric.
The hybrids. Yeah, the hybrids.
The hybrids. Okay.
And if there was a system set up for it, I mean, I don't think a lot of people would be opposed to it. I mean, personally, I don't even think I'm opposed to an electric vehicle, especially your to and from work, electric scooters. I mean, a lot of these colleges, we used to live up by Gainesville, and there were scooters everywhere.
Yeah, that'd be perfect for me getting back and forth just to work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but we don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the grid. I mean, the problem is all this stuff is made by gas and oil. I mean, that's how this stuff is made. They just don't pull it out of a hat and set it up and go, here you go. I mean, it wasn't made by fucking butterflies, man. I mean,
Oh.
So, either way, I find it embarrassing. It's an embarrassment. You got half the country that loves Trump, and you got half the country that just doesn't give a fuck. I mean, they just don't give a fuck. I mean, the kids, the old people. And I've been saying this, if you can't take care of kids and old people, you have no business in Washington. That should be your primary goal. And they're all either being blackmailed or they owe somebody something. I mean, both sides of the aisle. I mean, I don't mean to pick on Democrats all the time, but it's just so fucking easy, man. It's just so easy.
And it has been about power. It is about power and money, and it's always been about that. Even back, we're watching a show right now, and it takes place back in BC, and it's all about the power.
Yeah, we're watching The Chosen, which I've really been wanting to watch. I believe that was directed by Mel Gibson, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to double check that. But the story of Jesus is super cool. Got me bawling like a baby. You got to stay off these fucking edibles, man. But it is a good show, and
but it's all about It's all about politics, even back then.
Yes,
and power.
Yeah, politics and power, man. And like I said again, it's about the old people, the kids, man. The homeless. I was reading something the other day. I don't think I still have it on my phone, but there was a list I had of the last 6 presidents. Reagan, how he left. He came in with like 1 million, left with 3, and then there was Bush that came in with 6, left with 9. Now I'm probably not getting the numbers accurate, but like the Obamas came in with like, I don't know, 8 and left with like 110 or something. And then you go to the Clintons, man, and they came in with like 8 million and left with like 240. I mean, like, if you don't think that's some shady shit, all the investigations that went on, Hillary got kicked off. And, the investigations are another problem. I mean, you indict the man for all these crimes. Not one of them are for incitement, but yet they're still going after him for it. The FBI covered up all the shit. They knew what was on the laptop. They knew the dossier was fake, and they just stood by and did nothing. And, it just hurts me as an American because I love this country, and I feel bad that this is how it has to happen. Man.
And it's scary just looking at what's happening and thinking about all the possibilities of what could happen. It's some scary things going on.
And speaking of the Obamas, we just watched their movie. We told you that last week. We had to check it out. What a shitty ending. Save your money.
The Julia Roberts
one? Yeah, Julia Roberts did a great job, and I like that Ethan Hunt too. He did a good job too. But the movie by itself as a whole was just shit. I mean, honestly. So Obamas are under fire again. They have a kids show. Let me pull it up here. So former President Barack Obama is facing criticism online for an episode of Ada Twist. Now, I've never heard of it. It's a scientist, I guess. It's a children's show his company produces. And Ada Twist is a scientist, an 8-year-old Black scientist who explores people through scientific discovery, collaboration, and friendship. And to help the two best friends, Rosie and Iggy, according to the Rotten Tomatoes, the show is streamed on Netflix and co-produced by Barack and Michelle Obama, aka Big Mike. And the episode of Ada Twist, the scientist, it showcases young students coming together to celebrate a teacher's gay wedding. And this was aimed at preschoolers. Barack and Michelle Obama, aka Big Mike, are the executive producers. Libs of TikTok wrote on X, formerly Twitter, on Thursday, sharing a clip of the episode received from the parent who let her kids watch it. And this chick's mortified. I mean, it says mortified and horrified. I mean, it's just, so, like my wife and I, we're not diehard church people, but we believe in Jesus, and we believe that he'll be coming back. And we believe that if you're a Christian who supported Obama, you better change your mind, because everybody knows Joe Biden's not running this office. I mean, it's Obama, it's Klein, it's the wife, Jill. I mean, she's in on it too, man. I mean, it's just terrible. So anyone who claimed to be a Christian supporter of Obama better take a real good second look on how he's promoting this trans ideology to kids. I mean, you keep voting for the shit, and then you wonder what happens. Like Eric Adams, the mayor of New York. I mean, you look back just a month ago, send us your illegals. We're a sanctuary city. Same thing with Gavin Newsom out in California. And now you got this asshat sitting on TV going, we can't take this anymore. And, we might have to raise the taxes. They're in these prime hotels. They get $5,000 gift cards and cell phones. I don't even know anybody that got that for Christmas. So, what they're doing is just a sin, and somebody should be able to. Somebody needs to do something. That's what I'm telling you. Somebody needs to do something. Maine also barred Trump from the ballot. Some asshat. The superintendent is what I want to call her. She's like the hallway sweeper, the school monitor, whatever she is. So yeah, so apparently Maine's Democratic Secretary of State on Thursday removed Donald Trump from the state presidential ballot under the Constitution's insurrection clause, becoming the first election official to take action unilaterally as the U.S. Supreme Court is poised to decide whether or not Trump can remain eligible on the ballot. And again, this isn't due process, man. This is somebody's opinion. And when you try to make opinion law, you just look like an asshat, man. I mean, that's all you do is look like an asshat. So the decision by Secretary of State Sheena Bellows, and if you've seen a video of this woman, you can tell exactly where her brain is, man. It's up her ass. Under the Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, the decision has been stayed until the U.S. Supreme Court decides whether Trump is barred by a Civil War era provision. I mean, this is what it was. It was to keep Confederates from taking office. I mean, that's why it was done. I mean, I don't even know, man. 1868, I think is what I read. And again, I mean, you're talking about somebody's opinion. They take their opinion, they want to make it law, and it just doesn't work without due process, man. I mean, the judges in Colorado really fucking pissed me off, man. I mean, you got to have due process. You have to have a verdict, and the Supreme Court's going to shoot it down quicker and shit. I mean, you just can't get away with doing that.
Well, I think it's definitely going to bite them in the butt.
Yeah, for sure. My wife doesn't say yes. That's my.
I think they're going above and beyond too much, and it is going to backfire on them, because trying to take someone off the ballot that how many millions of people support is,
and they keep
what are they so scared of?
Yeah, and they keep trying to say there's not a two-tier justice system, but yet nobody over there is charged. I mean, nobody's charged. I mean, everybody know Hillary Clinton was in on the dossier. Everybody know that Hunter's Biden laptop. If you found a laptop with me smoking a crack pipe with a whore playing with a gun,
please let me know.
I mean, they would come get my ass. They would kick in my door and come get my ass.
Yeah, Cubby, you better not have any videos like that
anymore. No, at least not with the porn. No. It's sad. I mean, Hunter, I've been through addiction myself. I know what it's like. The 90s were not very pretty for me. And, you got a guy using coke and hanging out with whores at fancy hotels. I probably would have been hanging out with the guy in the 90s. I mean, not to be an asshole here, but
note to file, we were not married in the
90s. No, we weren't together. So, I mean, I just think somebody needs to do something. I mean, the legalities involved in some of these cases are just
it's just disgusting to watch the news. It really is. It's gross. It's just completely gross that when I watch the news and hear of all the lies and all the deceit and all the manipulation that's going on. Just let us vote for who we wish to vote for and leave it at that.
And
Quit
I mean,
cheating.
yes.
And just let it be a fair election. Let the American voices be heard.
Agreed. And you got to know something's up. I mean, when they're literally trying to take a presidential frontrunner off the ballot, who's blowing the doors, not only off the Republicans, but Joe Biden. I mean, he's leading in all 5 swing states there: Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Ohio, Arizona. You know, I mean, it's pretty obvious what they're trying to do. I think that when he gets back into office, he's just going to clean house, and they're afraid, man. I mean, no, they've been donating all this money and hundreds of billions of dollars and hundreds of $1 million all over the state to try to secure their cheating. And they know if Trump gets back in the office, the gravy train's fucking over, man. The DOJ is going to be disassembled, the DOD, the FBI, possibly the CIA as well. I mean, they're all in on it, man. I mean, and I tell you this too, because I was saying to my wife the other day, I didn't start watching politics. Probably it was right at the last 3 months that Obama was in office. And I didn't know a lot about politics. And I didn't even really start researching until probably about 7-8 years ago, right before Trump got into office. And I'm just baffled. I mean, it's just absolutely baffling how one side gets the royal treatment. And then if you're a Republican or a conservative, you just get the book thrown at you. I mean, I get the DOJ works for the president, but I mean, it's so much more than a conflict. I'm telling you, man, the last time they tried to do this, there was a civil war, and we both pray that it doesn't happen, but I don't know what to tell. I don't know what to tell people other than stock up, man. I mean, make sure you got all your necessities and plan for 3 months, because if something goes south and something happens, I mean, it's only going to be you that are going to save you.
Well, and the DOJ should be working for the American people.
Yeah, well, Merrick Garland's just a fucking stooge anyway.
Supposed to be. But I agree. Stock up, get a couple things.
Yeah, agreed. So John Solomon and Amanda Head discussed the FBI's involvement in elections, and I was trying to get to this earlier about the laptop and then the dossier. I mean, even the Robert Mueller investigation. I mean, they knew it was all bullshit. And David Weiss, there's another asset for you. So co-founder and editor-in-chief John Solomon, who I absolutely adore, what a nice man, smart man, and co-host Amanda had discussed how the FBI has become involved in picking winners and losers in our elections all through the 2019 and 2020. You see evidence where the FBI, you know, they don't look at things about Joe Biden, but then they jump all over things about Donald Trump. And that's why today we have a weaponized subcommittees. We have a weaponized DOJ. We have a disgusting president. I mean, he doesn't even know where he is. What's that? Shane Gillis, the comedian I like. He's like, when he gets done with his speech that's completely fucked up, he just zooms around like a Roomba. You know, like he doesn't even know where he's at. And it's putting up legitimate questions about the FBI just losing its way. And I can tell you, man, it's just disgusting. Just disgusting.
Well, I remember the clip on TV that we watched the other day where someone got an award and they wanted to take a picture all together with the president of the United States. And he's still our president.
Goes staggering off the stage.
He just wanders away. And the poor guy, you know, this is like his photo moment, his 5 minutes of fame. And, and there goes like the president of the United States to not be in his picture. You know, it just showed how like out of, you know, the moment he really was and is. All
right, let me try to get through a couple more of these stories so we can get to some good stuff. So Republican Ron Johnson, the senator, pardon me, was on Maria Bartiromo and rifled on that the FBI and the Justice Department doing an interview on Fox News Sunday morning featured program by noting each of them has targeted former President Trump ahead of the last several elections. When you consider the exoneration of Hillary Clinton, who had all these hidden emails on a separate server at her place, man, which immediately should be a crime. I mean, it is a crime. And the corruption investigation on the Russia collusion, which was a complete lie. And the FBI knew it was all along. The FBI, Department of Justice, interfered in the 2016 election and the 2020 election, Johnson said. And again, you know, I mean, there was like, I don't know, 25% of Biden voters said if they knew the laptop was real, they wouldn't even vote for him. Right there's your answer. I mean, right there's your answer. And I was crunching the numbers on that election, by the way. Trump got almost 5 million more votes than he did in 2016. And Joe Biden got more votes than Obama. Now, if you believe that, you're just the dumbest ass in captivity. There is just no way. And when you add the numbers together, there's more numbers there than people that are actually registered to vote, man. They were voting like kittens and dogs and dead people. Like they were cleaning out the woodworks there, man. And so Johnson goes on to say, and here we go again, interfering in the 2024 election. You already have it. What a mess. Obviously, President Trump's going to have the ability to defend himself, but will he defend himself quickly, or is this going to drag on and on? He added. Some argued that the DOJ interfered with the 2018 elections also because, again, the Robert Mueller investigation. And the Robert Mueller investigation was all done because of the dossier and the FISA warrants they got to spy on Carter Page and the Trump team. And that's another thing. The FISA applications, as I was mentioning last week, the FISA process just got signed off by our new Speaker of the House, which I find absolutely absurd because, again, you're going to have the Biden administration and Obama spying on the Trump campaign again. It's just foolish. They should have just waited till after the election. And they approved the $350 million new headquarters for the FBI, which just makes my stomach turn. So it's hard not to be suspicious of what the Department of Justice is doing once again. And as you mentioned, the investigation of Hunter Biden has been dragging on for years. They were able to wrap this investigation up pretty rapidly, Johnson continued. And the David Weiss that we talked about, this was Obama's guy. This is now Obama's guy. Or Biden. Should I say Biden? Can I say Biden? So, this guy, he's in on everything, man. I mean, if they were able to get the truth out of this guy, that this presidency would be over. And he was saying to Maria Petromo, how do I say her last name? I'll have to figure that out. The FBI document has been revealed, and I've gone back and I've looked at the timeline. And first of all, you have to understand the Bidens, certainly Hunter, I think, is probably Joe Biden as well, knew exactly what type of people they were dealing with. Noted further, President Trump pretty much made the same decision. He decided not to pursue any kind of prosecution of Hillary Clinton. Joe Biden could have made the exact same decision, but again, man, he's corrupt, and they don't want any of this getting out. China's got the books, man. I mean, if you've ever seen pictures of China or heard about China, cameras everywhere, everything's recorded. It goes into these huge databases. They have everything on Joe Biden, but since he's making them trillions of dollars, he's not really going to get into any of that other hoopla. Did you had another cute story that we were doing before we started the show you found?
Well, I have a couple different things with New Year's Eve because as Cubby has been busy researching the news, I am busy researching fun things to do for New Year's Eve.
I don't mean to cut you off, but you guys got to understand this is our third podcast, and we're just finally starting to get familiar with the software a little bit. And I'm working hard, man. I'm working hard to bring you guys some good information. I'm working hard to make sure you ladies and gentlemen have all the information you can get, and what I would call important information. You might hear some things that you don't hear, obviously, on network TV, because you're not going to hear any of this shit on network TV. So I do my best to bring you the best, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Well, thanks, Cubby. All right.
You're welcome, Mama Bear.
So I was talking earlier about transitions and
not those kind of transitions. This is an adult show.
Traditions. And Black Eyed Peas, like I was saying, was one of those things that I I did not grow up with. But why in the world are Black Eyed Peas considered such good luck? So I had to find out because I have to Google everything I don't know.
Can I just interrupt 1 second and tell you how beautiful you look today? I forgot to tell you, nobody works harder at looking better on TV than me, except her. Anyway.
No. So why are Black Eyed Peas good luck? So the practice of eating the Black Eyed Peas is generally believed to date back all the way to the Civil War. Originally, they were used as food for livestock and later as a food staple for enslaved people in the South. Because of their low reputation, the Union Army troops of General Sherman ignored the fields of the Black Eyed Peas when raising or stealing other crops. So they left those ones because they didn't think they were important. During the harsh winter, the Confederate soldiers survived on the remaining Black Eyed Peas, promoting this humble and nourishing legume into a symbol of fortune and prosperity in the American South. So today, the tradition of eating Black Eyed Peas for the new year has evolved into a number of variations and embellishments of luck and prosperity.
Are you a fan of Black Eyed Peas?
No. So I've only had them once at one of my friend's house on New Year's Day.
I think I had them a couple times. At Pollo Tropical, I used to get the black eyed peas and the chicken. It was pretty good.
So it's not something I eat, but I'm all for trying new things to make a better year because it has been a rough it has been a rough 2023 for Cubby, and along with Cubby goes Mama Bear.
Yeah, we
so
go into the back surgery, the 6 rods, the 12 screws. It's just exhausting. It's just exhausting.
So I am looking forward to 2024. I have lots of hope that it's going to be a great year. Cubby's going to start feeling better from his surgery.
Mr. Jackson, if you please.
Yes, so I have so many things to be so thankful and blessed for, but you can't help but hope for a better year when
That's
it's
right.
been a rough
That's right.
one.
You got to push forward, man. No matter how it got in 23, you got to push forward. Make your New Year's resolution count. Stick to it. Be positive, and everything will work out.
Yep. So, but back to my black eyed peas. Okay, so some people serve them with greens, collards, mustard, or turnip greens, which again, something I did not grow up eating in Michigan.
Can't go wrong with collards and a little bit of Dijon in that black eyed pea with some ham chunks. Got to have the ham chunk.
I don't know. I look at it and
I just said ham chunk, girl. Right.
I don't find it super appetizing looking, but I am willing to try it. But we don't have any of those ingredients, so we need to go to the store and maybe buy some.
I don't mind collard greens, but it just seems to be it's not one of my favorites. I can eat it, but it's definitely not one of them.
So cornbread, often served with it. For the best chance of luck every day in the year ahead, one must eat at least 365 black-eyed peas on New Year's Day. So I guess that means you're supposed to count them out because, gosh forbid, you only eat 360. You're going to have 5 days really bad luck. So
that's great.
So black-eyed peas eaten with stewed tomatoes represent wealth and health. And in some areas, actual values are assigned with the black-eyed peas, representing pennies or up to $1 each, in the greens representing anywhere from $1 to $1,000.
Yes.
So some people actually add a shiny penny or a dime to their pot just before serving, and that's another tradition practiced by some. I've never heard of it.
Hey, what was that old thing? See a penny, pick it up. If it's on head, oh, that was grease.
When served, the person whose bowl contains the penny or dime hopefully doesn't choke to death, but receives the best luck for the new year, unless, of course, the recipient, here it is, swallows the coin, which would be rather unlucky way to start off the new year.
I would say that's unlucky, yes.
So there's lots of different variations of black-eyed peas and recipes, so check them out. I'm willing to try it. So
yeah. Well, I want to talk about this ACLJ. I don't know. A lot of you follow Trump or don't follow Trump or like politics or don't like politics. You really need to start paying attention because this new world order, the Fink, the owner of BlackRock, I mean, they're taking control of this country from the inside out. And these asshats that are going around protesting Israel, I mean, these are the people that were eating Tide Pods a year ago, man. This is who we have to defend us. Anyway, the ACLJ appeals the Colorado ruling banning President Trump from the ballot. And Jay Sekulow was in charge of that. Jay Sekulow is an awesome, awesome person. He says, we've been saying from the day we took this case that this would end up at the U.S. Supreme Court. Today, we just filed a petition to the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn the Colorado ruling, and the Supreme Court's going to do it. There's no due process. I mean, they might have a couple leftist judge on there, but I think it's going to be a 9-0 home run. I think it's just going to be a knockout of the park. I mean, without due process or even being charged with incitement, it's just foolish. This is so much more than one primary in one state. This is the greatest election interference case in United States history. When I watched this podcast, he was going on about this is the most important case in history because if the government's going to be allowed to take people off the ballots so we can't vote for them, I'm telling you, man, they tried it with Abraham Lincoln and there was a civil war. Millions of Americans fundamentally have the right to vote. We represent the Colorado Republican Party and are urging the Supreme Court to swiftly grant and resolve this case. Weeks from the first ballots being cast in the 2024 president election. Our filing today, we made 3 arguments. The president is not an officer of the United States covered within the disqualification provisions of Section 3 in the 14th Amendment. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment is not self-executing authority for the state's courts, and litigants to use as a sword against a presidential candidate. He also goes on to say the Colorado Supreme Court decision violates the Colorado Republicans Party's First Amendment Association right to choose its own political candidates. And I read that article, and it's absolutely true what he's saying. The people that are in charge that don't have the right to tell Colorado who they can vote for. And Colorado is one of them states you don't want to piss off, man. These are cowboys. Boy, you don't piss off cowboys.
Well, maybe they used to be cowboys.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're still cowboys out there. In addition, by filing our appeal today, it automatically stays the Colorado Supreme Court's ruling pursuant to its own decision in the U.S. Supreme Court. They're going to take some action. President Trump on the ballot. However, there is an avalanche of similar cases being filed around the country. As I said earlier, Maine just did it as well. The Constitution and our democratic elections and our constitutional republic matters. I also, I was doing this little thing and I was asking a couple people, are we a democracy or are we a dictatorship? And like all of them said democracy. And I want you to know the United States of America is not a democracy. It is a constitutional republic. And to boil that all down for you, because I have my constitution and I try to breeze through it quite a bit. And I'm going to be reading something out of that real soon. Is that a democracy would be like if 100 people voted and 51 wanted to do something, the other 49 would have to do it. It's a democracy. Like if you say, raise your hand, who wants to go get drunk? And there's 6 people there and 4 people raise their hand. Y'all got to get drunk. That's a democracy. But in a constitutional republic, 51% can vote one way, but the other 49 get to do what they want. That's what the Constitution is about. It's your God-given rights to be able to do whatever you want as long as you're not hurting people. And another thing that's baffling, the administration that's in the White House right now are hurting people. The DOJ is hurting people. And I don't understand. There's a lot of things I don't understand. Like I said, I breeze through a lot of the politics and I understand some of it, but a lot of it just leaves me baffled because again, when you read the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, some of this shit they're doing is just illegal, man. Jay went on to say this is the most important case we've ever taken on because if we lose our right to vote, we lose our constitutional republic. And that was the point that I was getting to is that, we're not a democracy here. I mean, we're a constitutional republic. And if you look up the differences, you'll understand why America is the greatest country on the fucking planet. Maybe the galaxy, better than Mars and the Milky Way. There was another good story I found. The boy asked, there was this young man, he was going through the neighborhood trying to ask if anybody needed their yards cut because he wanted to get a new game console. And I have a picture of the officers here. So it's not every day one reads that a young black man's day was made after police officers were called to the scene. And whoever these fuckers were that called the cops because this young man wanted to mow some yards and make some money or pull some weeds. I mean, you know who they vote for. I mean, and it's disgusting. I mean, who the fuck calls the cops on a 10-year-old boy that wants to mow the yard to make some money? But this is the Haverhill Police Department, and I got this photo off their website. So the boy's day might have been ruined in the Georgia town of Hapeville, where the unnamed lad was going. Yeah, they said lad. Well, so the unnamed lad was going door to door asking if there was any yard work that needed doing. He was hoping to save up enough to mow some yards, trim some hedges, and be able to get a PlayStation 5. One of the neighbors had other ideas, specifically picking up the phone and calling 911 on this little boy. And, again, have some class, man. So Officer Colleran was the one that got the car. He's from the Hapeville Police Department and was dispatched to the area. He quickly made contact with the boy and said that the young man was very polite, respectful, and truthful, and wrote to the department on Facebook. And this is where the sergeant, I guess, had contacted this deputy. And he was in the area because he wanted to do yard work, again, pulling weeds, cutting grass, trimming to get this PlayStation. Officer Colleran, a gamer himself, was impressed by the young man, thought he would help him out to reach his goal. Driving back to the neighborhood and meeting up with the boy, he surprised him with the PS5. And apparently he took some donations from the other officers, and they all pitched in around $500. Officer Colleran and some other friends were able to not only get the young man the video game system, but the gift card to pay for the membership. And before leaving the man to enjoy his console, Colleran ensured that he knew to contact him over the PS5 network and they could play together. So they traded contact information so they could play together. And I thought that was just a
great story.
Isn't that a great story? I mean, just the generosity of the police department. I can I say this on the air? Go blue or fuck you, man. Because, if you can't support the police and the military and vets and children I mean, that's the staple of this United States of America, not the Tide Pod eating, condom snorting. It just it hurts my heart, man, to see what's happening to these kids. It all starts in elementary school and then it moves into these Ivy League schools where it's treacherous to learn. And it shouldn't be that way for people, man.
Mm.
So the Red Wave Press, I got this. This was Friday. I got this. I guess this happened Friday morning. It says hours ago, a gunfight broke out between the Mexican military and the cartel members just south of the U.S. Customs border in Lukeville, Arizona, the point of entry. And the Lukeville, Arizona point is entirely closed at this time. Just in just a year alone, they got 2.5 million at the southern border. And I was reading the other day, they got like 12,000 one day, 15,000 the other day. I mean, they're up to 500,000 people coming in on this Texas border. And again, with Eric Adams sitting there crying about how they're getting 3,000-4,000 a week, man, go down to Texas. Dude, go down to Texas and take a real hard look at how many people are invading this country. It's just heartbreaking, man. And then this other article, Biden threatens to sue Texas. Texas, the governor there, Greg Abbott, who I absolutely admire. Just what a backbone on this gentleman. Greg Abbott Thursday brought legal action to take if the state enforces. Biden said if the legal action to be enforced in this state allows authorities to arrest, jail, prosecute, and deport immigrants who enter the country illegally. The Justice Department said in a letter sent to Abbott that the law was unconstitutional and contrary to the U.S. commitment to ensuring the process of non-citizens consent with Immigration and Nationality Act. Now, I read that Immigration and Nationality Act, and it's pretty much horseshit too. And it's funny because they mentioned the Constitution, and again, I have one right here. I also have the pocket one by but I wanted to look up something because I remember there was something in Article 4, and I found this, and I wanted to read this to you. So this says, Section 4, the United States shall guarantee to every state and its union a republic form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion. And I find it funny because Texas is now declared an invasion. I think it's 50 counties or something. It's a whopping number. So they declare an invasion, and the government is liable by the Constitution to help them, and they're wanting to threaten them and press charges. Now, as fucked up as that sounds, I want to tell you, it's power. Once you figure out it's about power, it all makes sense. And how shady these people are, man. It's all about power. And
the sheer numbers of people coming into these towns, I can't imagine how they're dealing infrastructure wise with this amount of people in their towns.
Yeah, it's just crazy, man. I mean, the Border Patrol is not only overwhelmed, they're running these people to fucking doctor's appointments, man. Doctor's appointments and any other thing they can do. There was a story last week. I meant to find it again. I think it was on the Hill, or it might have been John Solomon. I don't know. You can find it somewhere. Just Google the information. But they pulled federal police officers off of buildings to send them down to the border to help with the doctor's appointments. I mean, if that just tells you how fucked up everything is right now. I mean, it's just absurd, man. The federal judge, there was a federal judge in Virginia, and the federal judge dismissed attempts by Virginia activists to keep Trump off the ballot. A federal judge Friday, this was Friday that just passed, dismissed a motion by 2 Virginia activists to keep former President Donald Trump off the ballot in Old Dominion. It goes on to say, Judge Leon Brinkema of Eastern District of Virginia granted Trump his request to dismiss the plaintiff's case. President Trump remains undefeated in the 14th Amendment ballots challenges in federal courts. And today's ruling in the Eastern District of Virginia said Stephen Chung, Trump campaign spokesperson, in the statement, calling the suits bad faith, politically motivated attempts to steal the 2024 election by disqualifying Trump from the ballot. And it just doesn't stop. I mean, it's absolutely amazing what they put this man through. I mean, they indicted him 4 times. His poll numbers keep going up. Maine, again, the Secretary of State, his poll numbers went up again 5 points. And they're just never going to learn their lesson, man. I mean, you keep attacking a fan of the people. If Trump, let's just say Trump wasn't involved, will what they're doing be okay? I mean, telling voters who they can vote for, going and picking and choosing which state that they're going to allow you to pick someone. The government's job isn't to allow us to pick anybody. I think that might be the biggest problem of all, is they think they're in charge. Man, I think that's the big problem.
Yeah. Well, you want to hear some more good news?
Yes, let's
or
do
some
it.
more superstitions? I found
Let's
this
do it.
one, and I knew Cubby would love this one. This superstition from New Year's is about ladies in your panties.
Oh my God, you know how much I love panties. I'm sorry, love your panties. Yeah, we got about 15 minutes. So let's kill this story, and I'll go through my last couple stories.
All right. Well, ladies, you should either wear a pair of red or yellow panties inside out. I have never in my life heard this before.
I don't know why when I hear the word panties, I just want to go panties.
So, red ensures a coming year of passion and love, and yellow panties will attract happiness and financial success. So, like, what if the panties were red and yellow? Because I want all those things.
That's like Kansas City colors. I bet right now there's a Kansas City Chief fan going, I have to get red and yellow panties for New Year's.
Right?
Time's running out.
So, but you got to turn the panties. Okay, you put them on inside out. Then you turn the panties right side out during the first few minutes of the new year. And the closest will be filled with new clothing within a few months. So
wait, let me get this straight. You're telling me if I turn my pink thong inside out, I get new jackets?
No, it's got to be red or yellow.
Okay, well, I don't have any yellow panties.
So, and also eating 12 grapes, one at a time, one for every month of the coming year. Make a wish with each grape, but beware of the sour grapes, which will bring a bad month for each one eaten in the new year. So those are some of the New Year's ones. But fireworks is always the fun one.
And the dogs. What'd you find out about the dogs? There was something about the dogs.
Yes. So the dogs, we have 3 puppy dogs, and fireworks are just something that they always stress over. But actually, more dogs run away for 4th of July than any other day of the year. So it's definitely something to be aware of and be careful with your loved animals.
Yeah, when I lived over in West Palm, we did I did the New Year's Eve over at John Prince Park, and my Indy, rest of his soul, had ran off during the fireworks. Yeah, it was terrible. It took me an hour to find him. He's over hanging out, taking a shit by the bathroom. I'm like, dude, I've been looking for you for an hour.
Wow.
And he gave me the paw, and I'm like, no, get in the truck.
So keeping your animals safe, especially the dogs. Keep them away from the fireworks, obviously, but that has to be number 1 for all the people that need the warning sign of do not eat the Tide Pods, right? So keep them away from the fireworks. You don't need them outside with you.
Yeah, so what is that? We have the Millenniums, we have Generation X, and then we have the Tide Pod champions of the world.
The warnings of do not drink the gasoline. Put it in the car,
Jesus,
right?
dude. What was it the other day in my truck? On the right side of my truck, I have an F-250, and on the right side of my truck, you open the door, and there's a little, I don't know what the hell it is. There's a little compartment there where you pop the cover off. It literally says, "Do not put gasoline in here." That must be for the Tide Pod crew.
I guess so. So make sure your pet has proper ID. I mean, all our dogs are microchipped, but they, they have, tags on them and, on their collar. So make sure they're ID'd in case they do get loose. Create a safe haven for them, so they'll hopefully feel comfortable.
And we saw that thing the other day that had the chip in the ID thing, where you didn't necessarily have to put a chip in, and you can connect it to your friends' phones. So if your dog goes missing and you send out that alert, it pops up on all your friends' phones too. I thought that was pretty cool for a dog locator.
Yeah. I had a dog once that ran away all the time, and I wish back then they would have had the GPS chip. I don't have those. We don't have those for our dogs now, but they do have the collars with the GPS.
Well, we have a completely fenced in yard, and our dogs are completely contained.
Yeah.
We saw a shepherd on the side of the road the other day, and these people, if you can't contain your animals, please don't get animals.
Well, some animals are hard to contain.
Well, I mean, it's called being an adult, man.
Well, regardless. So play white noise, drowned out those fireworks sounds. Comfort your dogs. Walk them before the fireworks start. Take them for a super long walk, and then they'll just be tired and sleep.
Right.
So, right. And then, I have a friend who gives her dog some sort of THC, I don't know what it is, that helps calm them. So
to mellow them out,
give him some weed.
Oh my God,
I don't know.
And that'll be another story. I will talk about the edibles I got on. I haven't smoked pot since the mid 90s, and just recently because of my surgery, I'm dealing with a lot of pain and insomnia, and I have got a couple things to work, and I'll share those with you sooner or later. But let me get back here to the story. So another Texas county declared an invasion after the judge's family members were killed. Apparently, this Christmas was the first Christmas without them. It was a very difficult time for this judge, and we're getting through it one day at a time. The Crockett County judge and the county Crockett judge and Judge Francisco Tumbunga said his sister-in-law and granddaughter were killed, and he's looking at things differently now. He told the Center Square media group there. And Tabunga was deep ties to the community. He's been a county commissioner there for 30 years. He was elected November 22nd and took office in January 23rd. 2 months later, God, geez. 2 months later, tragedy struck his family on March 13th. His sister-in-law and his 70-year-old, the 70-year-old was killed, and the 7-year-old granddaughter, Amelia, were killed in a head-on collision by a human smuggler. The human smuggler was reported driving more than 100 miles an hour heading north from the border, crossing county lines from Pecos County into Crockett County. And Crockett County, Texas, was named after Davy Crockett, who died at the Alamo. Just a little bit of information for you. With the Texas Department of Public Safety trooper in pursuit, the driver was smuggling 11 illegal foreign nationals in his pickup truck. And last month on November 3rd, all county commissioners and Judge Tubunga signed an invasion declaration calling for the additional measures at the security of the border. And anyone says there's no border crisis, the judge says, and experiencing these problems are all we're having is problems, he said. The border crisis is real and it's here. And to this date, 50 counties have declared an invasion on the southern border. And again, I read it to you right out of the Constitution. I mean, when a state declares an invasion, it's the government's responsibility to help them. And instead of helping them and trying to cut down the voters they're trying to bring in, because this has nothing to do with humanity, it has to do with voters. And they're going to take them to court. I mean, they're literally going to take them to court. And, the whole situation's screwed up. I do want to put this up here again. And this is the ACLJ.org, Faith and Freedom. Now, Jay Sekulow, the attorney for one of Trump's attorneys, they're the ones that handled the West Virginia case, the Wisconsin case, and they're doing the Colorado case. 3 of them have already been thrown out. And again, this Colorado case is going to be thrown out too. And, the whole thing just stinks. It just stinks to high heaven. We're going to end the show here. My wife sent me this. Is from 2 Corinthians 5:17, and whether you're religious or not, we'd like to do this for you. And
it's a new year.
Yeah, and it says, therefore, if anyone is in the Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. And I want to wish everybody a happy new year. Be safe. It is not amateur night, so stay off the roads if you can, and be kind to one another, man. I mean, it's come to the point, if you can't be kind, then you're just not an American. People need to be kind to each other. And
I hope you all have a wonderful New Year celebration. Welcome 2024. Goodbye 2023. It's been nice knowing you, but I'm glad to see you go.
That's right. Have a happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hope you enjoyed the Cubby Jaxon show. And remember, I'm not wearing pants.